It is the dream of a lot of people when they retire to visit the national parks. And that is something that we have been doing over the last several years. We have visited 29 of our national parks, and most recently we went on an epic road trip that involved 6 of them. So in this video, by request from viewers like you, I'm going to talk a little bit about our actual national park trip. I'm going to go through all the parks that we visited. But more importantly, up in front, I want to share a little bit about our best tips. Why do we go to the national parks? What are some tips that we have to share? And I am not a travel channel. I am a financial independence, retirement, and living your best life channel. So at the end, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite resources, the podcasts we listen to, the YouTube videos we watch, and then a fantastic resource that narrates as you travel through our best resources for when you do your research to visit the national parks. Right off the bat, let me ask you, are you a national park person? Are you someone that goes and visits? What is your favorite? Or if you're someone who is just considering it and thinking about doing it in the future, especially when you retire, where are you going to go first? Leave a comment down below. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Oh, and another thing, I'm breaking this video up into chapters. If you don't care about the tips and you're like, hey, David, just show me the parks, you can go down into the chapter markers, find the park that appeals to you, and just go right there. Also, if you don't care about the parks, you only care about the tips, you'll be able to see that too. Okay, here's a little bit, some stats about our trip. I'll pop a map up here and show you where we went. We drove over 4,300 miles. Over 90 hours total of driving time. Yeah, that is a lot of time. It was 16 days together. And on that trip, like I mentioned at the beginning, we visited 6 national parks. We also drove a great portion of Route 66. It's the 100-year anniversary of Route 66. So kind of seeing it in my head, we went to the Petrified Forrest National Park. We went to Death Valley National Park. We went on to Sequoia National Park, Kings Canyon National Park, and then the big star, the real reason we planned this trip was we went to Yosemite, and then on the way back, we swung by Joshua Tree, making it 6 on the trip, which is a record for us. I think previously we had gone to 3 parks. And 16 days in the car, 24 hours together. As I often say, I'm so glad I like my wife so very much. We got along great, and it was just making a big old bundle of memories. I believe that retirement should be an adventure, especially in these go-go years. And our go-go choice is to visit the national parks and do just amazing things. So why visit the national parks? Well, first of all, they are absolutely beautiful. So much history in our country that we had the foresight to think about this so long ago. You know, Yellowstone, the very first national park, to set aside these lands for preservation and for our enjoyment and ability to go. We love visiting them also because of all the other people that are there, believe it or not. I've run into people from all over the world. In this trip, we had Germany, Italy, Japan, South Korea, France, a lot of different countries. And it helps me appreciate more where I live, seeing how much people from places all over the world appreciate it. And I love the planning part. Some of these parks, and I'll talk about it, you have to plan at least a year in advance, and that is really part of the fun. You get it booked, and then you can spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos and learning about the park and getting that anticipated going of where you were going to be in the future. It is getting ready for the trip, planning for the trip, thinking about the trip. That's almost as fun as going. We enjoy active travel. And so going on these type of trips for us, knowing that I am going to do hard hikes has really helped me with my health issue. It encourages me to get out and do the daily walking, lifting weights, wearing a weighted pack, doing all the things I need so that the trip can even be more pleasurable for me when we're on those hard hikes. But if you're someone that has a physical issue and maybe you can't do that thing, that's okay, because many of these parks have good accessibility places that are not far from the car or paths that are paved. You still will be able to see fantastic things. And every park is different. There may be some slight nuances where they're a little bit alike, maybe even close together like we experienced with Kings Canyon and Sequoia. But every park is different, and every park has something just amazing that you can see. There's a quote that has really stuck in my head over the years. It says that the world is a book, and if you do not travel, you have only read one page. Well, in retirement, I'm ready to read the whole book, and we're starting out with the national parks, and hey, who knows what we're going to do next? So I've written down here what I think is a pretty good list of what we have found to be our best tips when you're thinking about national park travel. The first one I have here is to buy the National Park Pass. You want to make sure you do that far enough in advance that it has plenty of time to be processed and sent back to you. We tend to buy ours right at the beginning of the year, and that does take a little bit of time. And there's great news. If you are 62 years or older, there is a discount one, or even better, you can get the lifetime pass and never have to buy it again. For us, we're doing the annual passes. They also make a great souvenir. Another thing with the National Park Pass, it is going to save you time in line. You don't have to give the credit card and pay and wait for all that. You just hand them your pass along with your driver's license, and then you are good to go. This next one, and which is probably the biggest one, is if you are going into the most famous parks, it is going to be very important that you book early. And we're talking really early, up to 13 months in advance. Why? It's because these places are so popular that the best places to stay, which is in the park, are going to book up really quickly. And that's actually been a bit of the fun. When we were booking our trip to Glacier National Park last year, we were up at midnight, realized it was actually 2 a.m. their time. So we ended up at 2 a.m. sitting there clicking, and we got to stay at the Mini Glacier Hotel. I'll pop an image up, and I'm sure you're going to agree that was a fantastic place to stay. So yes, you have to plan really far in advance for this, and the payoff is fantastic if you get in the best spots to stay. Another thing, these trips, yes, they can be expensive, so we do some things to try and limit our costs. The thing that we did on this trip, especially since it was a road trip, is that we used a lot of our travel points that we have through our credit card and through Marriott. 9 of the 15 nights that we went on this trip, we used points, saving a tremendous amount of money. I'm guessing it was about $2,000 in savings using those points, and that really helps out. Another thing that we've done to save on cost is to bring our own food. We typically are driving. We actually bought a new vehicle right at early retirement for the sake of travel. And with that, we're able to bring everything. So we have a large cooler in the back. We fill it up with ice. We go to a grocery store and we're able to make our lunches for every day, saving on that. We typically stay in a hotel that has free breakfast, so that helps save on that. If it doesn't have free breakfast, we've got it in the back in a cooler, and it really helps. Drinks and snacks along the way are also in the car for us. So basically, we're only paying for dinner, and that really helps reduce the cost. Which takes me to drive if you have time. Yes, 16 days is a long time to be in the car. 90 hours of driving is a long time to be in the car, but it's actually fantastic because we're taking the slow route. We are taking time to linger. When we see a left turn that leads to something that might be cool, hey, we are going to take that and we are going to see it. One of the greatest things about traveling when you're retiring is that you are no longer in a hurry. So allow yourself to have time for that trip, and driving is one of the best ways to do it. If you happen to rent a car, also allow time. I mentioned bringing along food. When we did our trip last year where we just drove the Oregon coast, we were able to buy a small one of those styrofoam or paper coolers, whatever it was, those ice chest things, filled it up with our drinks and snacks, and we're able to take that on the road with us. And here is the fun part. Research before you go. Get with your partner, whoever is going with you, and decide what type of activities that you want to do, and then dig deep into that research. You're going to have a much better experience if you've figured out what you like and which park is going to best match where your interests are, and prioritize those parks as to where you are going to go first. As I mentioned here at the end, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of our favorite research tools that we use. And this is probably my other main tip, which is slow down. I'll never forget being at Yosemite. The tour buses pull up. Everyone kind of piles out of the bus. They go over to the good spot looking at their phone the whole time while they're taking a bunch of pictures, and then they're taking their selfies and whatever, and then they just get back on the bus. Their memory is not going to be sitting on the rock staring at the beautiful view. Their memory is going to be looking through their phone and taking those pictures and then getting back on the bus. Linger. Take time to sit there, relax, and soak in where you are, the majesty and the beauty of everything around you while you are there. Slow travel is the best travel. Don't just go and buy the t-shirt. A lot of people, they're just collecting national parks. They're getting that stamp, they're getting that t-shirt or whatever. Our suggestion and what we try to do is experience the park as best that we can. Another thing that I especially enjoy is talking to strangers. For the most part, everybody there is having a good time. We all have the same goal to see things. It is really fun to share cameras, have someone take your picture and then take their picture. You can always see the joy in someone where you take their picture and you do a good job taking it. We do take a little tripod with us just in case so that we can set up and take pictures. But man, I love those conversations with strangers. Like I've said, I've met people from all over the world, and it's so great learning about their lives, why they are there, what they plan to do, and just a little bit about that person. It is one of my favorite things about travel. Another big thing, a reason for booking in advance, is because in a lot of parks, the best thing to do is to stay in the park. You will save hours of driving time if you're actually staying in the park versus having to drive from outside it. When we were at Yosemite, I talked to many people that were staying outside of the park and they were spending an hour, hour and a half every day for the trip just to get into the park. And there was another hour, hour and a half to get out of the park. Staying in is just fantastic. You get to pull your car in, park it, and enjoy the park without ever having to leave. The evenings there can be fantastic too because most people have left to go back to their hotel or wherever it is that they're staying, and you get to walk around and really enjoy it with far less people. Plus, many of the parks have historic lodges that are just absolutely beautiful. I gotta say, for the most part, they are expensive to do this. I don't remember how much it cost for us to stay at the Old Faithful Inn, but I do remember it was quite expensive. And even saying that kind of tells you something. I don't remember the cost, but I absolutely remember the experience, so it was absolutely worth it. Another tip if you're visiting the parks is to be sure and get the National Park Passport. This is one of those things that you're going to love to do. You get to the visitor center, you go in and there's stamps and you go in and fill out your stamp of where that you were there, and eventually this book starts to fill up. We did not have the passport the first few parks that we visited, and I totally regret it now. We almost feel like going back to a couple places just so we can get the stamp. Another thing that we really like are ways to memorialize our trip. We have a poster that has a scratch off. Each time we visit a park, we come home and together we scratch off the places that we went. And you can see on the poster a lot of places we haven't been yet, and I absolutely love that visual of having it on a map. I've got here in my hand my National Park water bottle. I really love putting stickers on the bottle every time that we visit a place. And it's amazing, even though we have been to 29, look at all these blank spots, other places we have yet to go. Regardless, whatever you choose to do, find a way to document and memorialize your travel. You're going to love it. All right, that's my best tips. I'm sure there's people watching this that have been to parks, and maybe you have some great tips too. Please leave it down in the comments. People watching this video are going to want to learn, and hey, I want to learn from you as well. I love your advice. All right, let's get into the parks. For each one of these, I'm just going to briefly tell you a little bit about the park, and then we're just going to roll with the whole movie, showing you some video and some pictures. The first park we stopped at was the Petrified Forest, and I'll tell you, this park really surprised me. I was just picturing that I was going to drive by and see a bunch of rocks on the ground and some dirt, and we would drive through and be out rather quickly. Well, we spent far more time there than we thought. And the best part was this hike that we took. Our app that was telling us about the park suggested this particular hike, and we did it, and it was absolutely fantastic. Hiking up the big hills and seeing the petrified trees everywhere. You're going to see it in the video I'm showing next. It was absolutely beautiful. And this park is right along I-40, Route 66. A portion of it actually goes through the park. It is fantastic. It is not one that you want to skip, as long as you know where to find the cool places. The next park was Death Valley, and we got really lucky on this one in a couple ways. First of all, Death Valley, I was expecting it to be super hot. You know, it is the driest and it is the hottest place in the world. It's a couple of their claims to fame. Well, the day that we got there, you'll see in the video, they were having a crazy windstorm. It was 60-mile-an-hour winds. It was just absolutely crazy. Here, go back to that tip, we stayed in the park. We stayed at this place called the Oasis at Death Valley. Fantastic experience. Unfortunately, because of the wind and everything, didn't take a lot of pictures of video of it, but I highly recommend staying at the Oasis in Death Valley for this retirement travel. And part of what was so terrific, we had planned only to hike up until about 11 because we were expecting it to be really hot. Well, what happened? A cold front moved in. It actually ended up being cloudy with a few sprinkles, and I think it only got up in the low 80s, which allowed us the opportunity to hike most of the days. You're going to see some sand dunes here. I was totally geeking out. I was learning that many scenes from the very first Star Wars movies were filmed here in Death Valley, and I had the opportunity to go to every place within Death Valley where the movie was filmed. It was so great. You may recognize this is the canyon where R2-D2 was taken captured by the Jawas in Star Wars. We're going to explore this ghost mining camp. Lived here until 1945. Look at this, there's a book for recording that you were here. After Death Valley, we moved on to Sequoia National Park. We stayed in a city called Three Rivers, which is right outside of the park. And this was such a contrast. The day before, we're in Death Valley, you know, dry and a little bit warm. We're on our way to Sequoia. There was quite a bit of rain, actually. Did not impact us because this was a drive day. And up in the elevations, they ended up getting what the ranger told us was first of all, the latest snowfall they had experienced in 5 years. And also the most snow they had received in over 10 years. So what a contrast you'll see in the pictures. We go from the desert of Death Valley to snow at Sequoia. And there is really something about being around the sequoia trees. We've been to Redwood National Forest, and those trees are the tallest in the world. The sequoia trees are the largest in the world when you include the full volume. And there's just something special about being around something so big that makes you feel so very small. It helps you realize your place in the world. We really love Sequoia. And at first it was a little bit frustrating with the weather. There was points of it where it was so foggy, it was a little bit scary to drive. But when I go back and look at the pictures, I realized it made a very unique experience. Have it be as cool as it got down to 39 degrees was the lowest temperature we recorded there. And it was just such a beautiful place. This is Morrow Rock. Normally there would be a beautiful view, but hey, we're gonna walk it anyway. Almost there.
I'm glad to stop here. That's clearing though.
The very top. Right next to Sequoia is Kings Canyon, and this is one of the lesser visited parks, even though it is right next to Sequoia. We went ahead and did the Kings Canyon drive all the way to the very end, which was a full day trip. I don't have a lot of pictures of this because we were just enjoying the drive so much. Surprise to me is that there are caves in Sequoia and you can take a cave tour. Did not know about that, didn't book it in advance, but we did stop and walk around and it looked really great. But this takes you through the canyon, and you have the river off to the side, and you're seeing all the flowing water and everything. And it was just so very beautiful. We did enjoy Kings Canyon. Highly recommend that you don't skip it. The base reason why we did this trip was to go to Yosemite. And let me tell you, it did not disappoint. I was a little bit worried because people were sending me videos and talking about the crush of crowds that was taking place there. It was mostly the Memorial Weekend, which was the weekend before, where there's so many people. The reservation system where it timed who goes in, when you can go in, had stopped for this year. So I was a little worried about it. We had no issues as far as the people. And we drive into the park and you see that famous view, that Ansel Adams view of the valley and the river. It was just breathtaking. It truly was. And then we went to another place where there was a viewpoint. Again, just breathtaking. I found myself just sitting on a rock and just not believing how very thankful we are to be able to be here. This is another situation where we pre-planned in advance. This is the park that we booked 13 months in advance, and we stayed in an area of the park called Curry Village. There are different places in the park that you can stay. Each of them, we learned after getting there, have a very different personality. If you're a high dollar person, you want to spend $650 a night, you can stay at the Awani Hotel, which was absolutely gorgeous. We went by to visit it, and there are other places all the way down that you could just stay in a little tent. Now I'm talking just like a little pup tent. We saw people doing that. What makes Curry Village famous is that it does have tents. I did do a complete walkthrough of Curry Village, which I will post as a separate video. But they're one of the least expensive places to stay. You are actually staying in a tent. We got a cabin, and right behind our cabin was the granite. You could see the mountain. It was just so very beautiful. Yes, Yosemite is busy, but we were able to park our car and not ever have to leave it, and just took the shuttles around to everything, because one reason it is so very busy is that, like Zion, it is very compact. We found the shuttles to be efficient and took us around to many different places. Absolutely love the people that we met there at Curry Village. It was so very fun. You're going to see a bunch of pictures and video coming up of Mist Falls, perhaps the most famous hike there at Yosemite. Tons of people. But what we've also learned, and this is a big tip that I probably should have mentioned earlier, if you want to get away from the people, you got to get up early and you got to do the hard things. And what I mean is, one reason we chose Curry Village, we wanted to do the Mist Trail hike. And from Curry Village, we were able to walk to the trailhead and not wait on the shuttles. We did that walk, but we also hiked further than most people. Yes, we went to the Vernal Falls, the first fall there at Mist Falls, the one where everybody takes the pictures, but then we went on up to the next level. Every time you go to the park, the earlier you start, the less people. The harder hike you do, the further along you get along that trail, you'll see less and less people. It makes it far more pleasurable. In fact, on the way back, there's an alternative route that took you around the Mist Falls, a much harder way to get back. And it was hard, I'll have to tell you, but it was fantastic in that there was hardly any people on that trail. Another tip for Yosemite, the reason that we chose this time of year, the end of May, 1st of June, was the waterfalls. They are peaking this time of year. The waterfalls are incredible. It was absolutely amazing to watch them. One benefit of taking the hard way is that there's no people. And then our last park, this was a park we swung by on the way back, was Joshua Tree. Truly decided to go ahead and do this one because I saw on the map how close we were going to be to it. I was like, hey, I'm not going to miss the chance to see this park because we're going to be driving right by it. This is basically, I would consider a half-day park. It was really something to see the cactus and everything. Just absolutely beautiful. It was pretty hot that day. It was up in the 90s, so I was fairly limited on how much we could actually hike, but I still very much enjoyed going through this park. I mentioned that my channel is not a travel channel. Again, we talk about three things here: achieving financial independence, retiring early, and choosing to live your best life now. I call all this net life. We put it all together and make this great life at retirement. So here I want to share some of the best resources we have found over the years to prepare us for these national park trips. If you like podcasts, we very much enjoy the Bob and Sue podcast. Bob and Sue is actually two people named Matt and Karen Smith, and they call it that because they started out writing letters to their friends Bob and Sue. It turned into a book and eventually this podcast. Absolutely love them. They have been to all the national parks and several other places. So much information. More recently, I've started to enjoy a podcast called Dirt in My Shoes. This is a former national park ranger. She and her husband together, and they're really cute the way they talk to each other. They have a lot of great information about each of the parks, including you can buy itineraries from them. Haven't done that. I'm sure they're very high quality, but I recommend that as a podcast. If you're a YouTube person, I'm guessing you are because you're watching this video. Two of my favorite YouTube channels. First one is We're in the Rockies. A great couple, very in-depth videos about all the national parks out in the West. We have watched their videos now for years, and especially for Yosemite, so much great information. They're so very helpful. Highly recommend that channel. Another channel is called Through My Lens, and this one is fantastic. It's a father-son combination. He's not just national parks. In fact, he goes to places all over the country, and I really enjoy that channel. Lots of great information. Two apps that I find particularly helpful. I'm going to say the number one app to get for this kind of travel, is called Guide Along. Guide Along is fantastic. I wish I was an affiliate. I'd probably be making money because I talk to so many people about it. But basically what Guide Along does, you pick the parks that you're going to, you download that park, and as you're driving through, thanks to GPS, he narrates the entire trip for you. We had done all kinds of research for Yosemite. I read books and I watched all these videos, and I found the Guide Along app, his narration, to be so much better. You'll be driving along and he'll say, hey, there is a turn coming up on the right. There is a trail there that you really don't want to miss. And the fun part is you turn to go to that trail and he comes back on and goes, yay, you did it. You took my advice. It's so terrific. Especially when we were going through, I mentioned that Petrified Forest a long time ago, that trail that we joined. I don't think I would have done that had the app not told me about the trail and said it was a must stop. So highly recommend. At this point, I can't imagine visiting any of these parks without using the Guide Along app. There was also a version of it available for the Arizona portion of Route 66. It made that drive so much more enjoyable. I just cannot say enough good things about this app and the extra value it brings to your trip. If you are a hiker, I highly recommend the All Trails app. It is something that I have used for many, many years. If you buy the app you subscribe to, you're able to download offload maps, which is really important when you're hiking in the backcountry or even those popular trails. One of the things I like about it most is I can pull the map up, kind of see where I am on the map. These are offline, and I can see how much further I have to go on the hike. And then, like that alternate trail that I took when we were leaving the Mist Falls, I was able to pull up on the map, see there was an alternative trail, and it made it really easy to find it. It's both a convenience thing as far as seeing the trail, but it is also a safety thing because you know where you're going. It's a lot less likely that you're going to get lost. It also includes a lot of trail reviews. People that have hiked the trail lately tend to leave comments, and you can kind of find out the conditions or if there's anything that you need to know. Well, that is it. That is the David in Progress Home Movie Edition. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something within the national parks that we visited, something of value, and that you enjoyed those tips. Again, I'd absolutely love to hear from you. What is your favorite national park? Leave a comment and let me know. If you haven't been to the national parks yet, where do you want to go? Thank you so very much for watching.